day that you get to be part of the signing for a check for $478 million from the federal government. This is a process that began probably 30 years ago in this community, as people began to plan and design and think about how can we link the great communities of St. Paul and Minneapolis, and how can we really work together as a region. And for me, the Central Corridor Light Rail Project is so symbolic that we are really working together as a region, and that this investment will help us to bring us closer together in our goals of serving this community, bringing jobs here, and creating opportunity for all the citizens in the Twin Cities. The first person I want to call on to speak is our governor. Our Governor Dayton has done so much to support jobs and economic growth here in our community, and this project of the Central Corridor is really about economic opportunity for all. Governor Dayton.
In advance for having to speak and then depart, but this is a terrific celebration, and Administrator Rybak, please feel free to come anytime. With technical order, $78 million. In fact, come every day if you can. You know, everybody else who's up here has earned their place, and many of you in the audience that deserve to be up here as well for your very hard work to make this day happen. I'm the least deserving of everyone. I feel like the rookie who was picked up on waivers at the last minute is now going with the team to the Super Bowl, because obviously I just stepped in, so I think to pay credit to Governor Plenty and former Met Council Chair Peter Bell and former members of the Met Council, and all of you who have worked very, very hard, along with everybody who's back here, to make this day happen. And it's a great day for Minnesota. It's a great public partnership, and we welcome the involvement of the private sector as well to move this forward. And it shows what happens when people with a vision and the commitment to make that vision a reality can achieve, despite whatever the obstacles are, through their perseverance, hard work, cooperation, and I salute everybody who's been involved. Thank you very much.
Well, as Governor Dayton said, this is about jobs. 3,400 people will be employed during the construction of this project, and we're working hard to make sure that everyone from this community can benefit from this project. Make sure that people who live along this corridor can benefit from this wonderful construction project. And the idea of jobs is certainly not something only for the governor. I really want to say a great step of gratitude to the business community. The business community helped to support the need for a dedicated funding source for transit in this region. We wouldn't be here today with this project if they hadn't helped to lead that way. I really want to have the business leaders who are here wave your hands, Todd Klingel and Matt Kramer, and the people from the Itasca project, Jay and Charlie Zelli, the Midway Chamber. It was really you who said, you know, transit and public infrastructure investment is an economic development investment. And thank you for leading that charge here in our community. We wouldn't be here today if you hadn't taken on that leadership. So thank you very much. But what's exciting to me is connecting St. Paul and Minneapolis today, and we have the two greatest champions for this region, Mayor Coleman and Mayor Rybak, transit advocates, people who collaborate and work together, and I'm very proud to introduce them both, mayors.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations. What an incredible day in the city of St. Paul. I know it's an important day because Harry Melander has a tie on, and so, you know, there's only two occasions. One's a funeral, and one is a celebration like this, and it's today is an incredible celebration. I wish I had time to just go through everyone in this room to thank you personally for the efforts that you have put into making this line possible. The work that you've done, the folks that aren't here, like John Finley, who years ago on the county board had the vision for it, Commissioner Ortega, who you led for so long on the Regional Rail Authority, and there's so many fathers and mothers to this incredible victory that we have here today. I want to personally thank my planning and economic development staff. Zoning ordinances along the corridor under Donna Drummond's leadership and others that have made this possible. Thank you, because what matters is not that we build a rail line between St. Paul and Minneapolis. It's that we get it done right. It's that we get it done in a way that benefits the community. It's that a way that really benefits the city of St. Paul and this entire region for years to come. And I'm really convinced that that is what we have created here. That is what we celebrate. Not the $480 million. That's not bad. We like that. But it's a celebration about the future of our community, and that we came together to get it done in spite of some obstacles. One of my favorite phrases is Nancy Holman's likens this all to a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Nancy's not here today, but I hope that we all thank her for the incredible work that she has put into this project, because it is a jigsaw puzzle. Today what we do is we kind of have finished the border of the jigsaw puzzle. We have completed it, and we still have this beautiful vision on top of the box of what this is going to become, but there are a lot of pieces that still need to be filled in. There are a lot of parts of the picture that we don't see yet on the table, but we know what it looks like. We know what the picture on the box looks like, and we're going to continue to build that. So there are a lot of us in this room, and Nancy and others, that will be the ones that are up late at night with the light on and their reading glasses, working piece by piece by piece. And there will be others that will just kind of walk by every once in a while and go, here, that piece goes here. You know, if you've ever worked... Put that puzzle together. We have framed in that puzzle. The pieces are yet to come, but I'm convinced that we are building one beautiful picture for the future of our community. Thank you for being a part of it.
Somewhere in the real recesses of my brain is a TV image. I think it might have been in black and white, but I do remember the press conference when they opened 94. And I remember how important it was, but I don't think at the time what that really meant. At that moment when 94 was opened, we ushered in a generation of era, a new generational era in which we would begin to define a deeper connection between our two cities and define it primarily by the car. We said that we're going to come together closer, we'll have to sacrifice some neighborhoods, and we will do it by using the car. That was what happened for a generation here. And we're stronger in many ways because of that. That era today ends. Today the era begins in which we say these cities will come together by growing together in neighborhoods that are livable and walkable and transit-oriented, in a way of moving around that is less dependent on fossil fuels, and more than anything else, in a way that makes us a far stronger place to live and work. This today starts a new era. It's not happening because of one person or the people up here, but I think Mayor Coleman said it so well with that puzzle analogy that multiple people on many levels have been part of this vision. It's nice to celebrate today, but we would be losing the opportunity if we said that the work that we've done ends today. We need to continue the advocacy for this and to make sure this happens, but we also need to move forward dramatically and quickly on new additional ways to move around. Transit's like golf. You don't use the same club on every part of the course. So we need to move forward on light rail and on the streetcars we're planning on Minneapolis and on the bus rapid transit. We need to move the East Metro far faster than we have done before, and we need to all be together as a coalition. The thing that most people here don't see is that a lot of the members up here are part of some amazing meetings that have been going on about what we're calling now corridors of opportunity, where we sit around and people from these amazing county commissioners, like Commissioners McLaughlin and McDonough, and different people from all over the group here, come together and think big thoughts about how we're going to do this better. We're going to move fast in Minneapolis. We're moving on not only that transit, but we're about to break ground on Riverside Plaza, which will put a $100 million project with 90 people from the zip code working on it right at the heart of this, and that's one of multiple pieces of work we do. Thank you, everyone, for doing that. Sue Haig's point about the business community is really important because rarely have we had the business community and the political community come together at such a critical time as when that was happened. And Jay Coles and Charlie Zelli, two people who've lived and worked in both cities, I think have been phenomenal leaders on that. Thank you all for being part of this. The work stops for about an hour when we do this and it begins again. Let's make sure this next generation of how we get around and how we grow is even more sustainable and exciting for our community. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor. We are grateful for your leadership. We're grateful for your partnership for this region. This is an exciting time for the Twin Cities to see the work that the two of you do together. It's really inspiring. I'm really grateful to have our U.S. Senator here today, Senator Al Franken. Senator Franken has been a strong supporter of this project and transit and transportation investment, and we're honored. Senator Franken, thank you so much for taking time to be here.
It's true I've been a strong supporter of this, but I'm a little in the sort of the governor's camp here, as I really don't deserve much credit. I didn't fight it. And I was for it. I was for it the whole time I've been there. I'm doing everything I could. I would like to say that I just did not get Chris's jigsaw analogy. Jigsaw puzzle. Or the golf analogy. I just... Okay. Look, this is a great day, obviously. And there are so many people here who deserve to be celebrating and be celebrated. And you know who you are, so I'm not going to have you stand up or raise your hand or applaud yourself or all the other things that other people have you do. I think that's unnecessary, frankly. What's great about this is that this is an example of really smart investment. Yes, we're creating all these jobs. And yes, we're tying the communities together. And I did like what you said about the kind of way we're tying the two, and it's not just tying the two communities together, it's part of an entire metro system, which is really important. And less dependent on the automobile and less dependent on fossil fuels and allowing people the ability to get around and conduct business and do things without having to have a car, for goodness sakes. And the thing that this kind of gets at the importance of growth. And this will create economic opportunity all over the place in this metro. We have a budget crisis now. We know that. We've had them before. We had it after World War II. We know one thing. We can't get out of this crisis only by growing. But boy, we aren't going to get out of it if we don't grow. And this is the kind of growth, this is the kind of intelligent growth, this is the kind of smart growth, this is the kind of investment in our future that will continue to pay dividends and dividends and dividends long after that beautiful jigsaw puzzle is finished. Now I get it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Senator Franken. The next person I'm going to call up to speak is someone who I began to work with right after I got elected. I was elected to the county board in I started serving in 1995, and that's when I started working to advance the Central Corridor Light Rail Transit Project. So it's pretty darn exciting to be back here over 15 years later for this important day. But one of the greatest allies for the investment of the Central Corridor and its importance to St. Paul and its importance to the East Metro and the importance of an anchor that really means something to this community like the Union Depot is Congresswoman Betty McCollum. Thank you for everything you've done.
Well, I said it before in the other room, Alice, it's happening. This is so exciting to be here today. And it's raining, and I actually think it's perfect because each and every one of you is a little raindrop. Each and every one of you contributed to today. And as the rain collects and as it builds, it's going to flow into the mighty Mississippi, which is known all around the world as the great river it is. So, non-profits, elected officials, thank all of you. You all deserve a round of applause for gathering here together to make this great moment happen. Well, today the Central Corridor becomes a reality, and that's a good thing because there's a little construction going on around out there. And I want to thank Administrator Rogoff for all of his efforts on behalf of the Central Corridor. You provided great leadership, the FTA. You took all my phone calls. And when this project needed your leadership the most, you took the time to really understand, to dig in, and to meet the needs of our community and our metropolitan area. This project, as many of us know, was a long time coming, and it could not have come at a better time. The Central Corridor, as it's been pointed out, is going to create thousands of jobs. It's going to provide residents and commuters with an alternative rather than just paying dollars for high gas prices at the pump. This rail line will finally establish a permanent transit link into the future between the East and the West Metro. This region now has a single, modern, efficient transit system. And it took unprecedented partnership, as I said, from many of you here. Government, but most importantly, the business community who never walked away when times got tough because they knew the importance of Minnesota being able to compete globally by having this line completed. So I want to really thank the business community. You were our anchor. Now, our work's done for today, but as the mayor's pointed out, there's a lot more work to do into the future. So one of the things that I need to do is go back and fight for continued funding for smart investments, as Senator Franken said, because the only way our children are going to have a bright future is if we lay down a foundation for that. So that's what we're doing with the rail today, and all on board. I can't wait to ride the first train.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Really appreciate your energy and your commitment to this project over many, many years. Well, the main event here today, we've been waiting to hear from, is our Federal Transit Administrator, Administrator Peter Rogoff. He is a tremendous leader for the country. He's the second top-ranked person in transportation in the Obama administration. He lives and breathes transit and transit investment. He really understands transit-related investment around corridors. He was already out this morning meeting with Asian business leaders about the impact of the corridor, and that's his commitment to community. And it's just a great pleasure to have him here. Thank you, Administrator Rogoff.
Thank you. This really is a great day for the Twin Cities, and it's a great day for Minnesota. It's a great day for thousands of Minnesota construction workers that are still waiting for a steady paycheck. But just as importantly, it's a great day for thousands more Minnesotans that are looking to save more of their paycheck and not spend it at the gas pump. And as President Obama's Federal Transit Administrator, I'm here to tell you that the Obama administration is thrilled to be your partner in this project. With the signing of this grant agreement today, the Obama administration has committed to awarding nearly $480 million, half the total cost, to this, the single largest public works project in the history of Minnesota. You really should be tremendously proud of that, and I want to thank all of the stakeholders that you've heard from here today, senators, Congresswoman McCollum. I want to call out two in particular. Peter McLaughlin and Jim McDonough have paid more visits to my office. There was a time there when I thought they had gotten their own bachelor pad in D.C. with a refrigerator that just had ketchup packets and beer. Because it seems like every fourth or fifth day they were back in to talk to me about the next step to get not only this project, but a great many transit projects in the Twin Cities off the ground and moving. And a lot of credit goes to them for their persistence. And I also want to thank the leadership of the Met Council. I'm glad that Peter Bell was here to be able to join us. He spent a lot of time putting this project in the works, and now Susan is here to get us through the construction phase and bring it to closure. I also want to thank a lot of the community leaders and advocates who have scratched and clawed to make this an even better project over the last 3 years. And as a result of their persistence and their insistence, we have listened to their concerns, and we are today launching a much better project than we had planned 3 years ago. This truly is their celebration too. As Susan pointed out, this really has been 30 years in the making, but today 30 years of uncertainty and doubt comes to an end. And this breakthrough commitment from the Obama administration couldn't come at a better time. The Central Corridor Light Rail line is going to be an economic lifeline for hardworking families and students throughout the region. We're going to generate over 570 jobs already have been generated just in the last year, and we're looking at 3,000 jobs in construction and engineering and related fields in the coming months and year. We're talking about good family wage jobs right now when we need them most. The project also is going to be a tremendous boost for the thousands of small businesses along the University Avenue corridor, whether it's the Gremlin Theater or Red House Records or the restaurants or art facilities or nonprofit groups along the way. After this construction is done, you're going to see the kind of economic development that Senator Franken talked about, the kind of growth that leaves enduring jobs. That's what our transit investments are doing all over the country through President Obama's leadership. We're creating jobs now, right when we need them, but we're doing them on projects that improve the quality of life, improve our opportunities for growth for generations to come. We're not talking about make-work jobs. We're talking about jobs that create yet more jobs, and that's what we're committed to. So whether your destination is the Metrodome or University, State Capitol Complex, or just Target or the Goodwill Consignment Store, the light rail here is going to take you there. And every time you take light rail, instead of your car, you are keeping gas money in your wallet rather than giving it away. The Obama administration is determined to help control skyrocketing gas prices by lowering our dependence on oil. And a key component of President Obama's plan is to give consumers real choices, choices like light rail, choices like clean and reliable bus transportation. The president has said that there's no silver bullet to bringing down gas prices right away, but his plan to lower our dependence on foreign oil has at its center the goal of giving American people real choices, choices that will keep their gas money in their pocket. For some families, they'll be driving a more fuel-efficient vehicle as a result of the Obama administration raising CAFE standards. Where we are freezing domestic spending, President Obama continues to boost funding for transit. Why? He's doing it precisely for the reasons that Senator Franken pointed out, because it provides opportunities for growth, it provides opportunities to improve the quality of life of working Americans. When you think about it, reliable transit is really the difference between picking your kid up at daycare on time or not. It's the difference between being able to supervise homework at the end of the day or not, being able to get home and have dinner as a family or not. It makes a real difference to the quality of life of people every day, And there are opportunities for more and better opportunities for all those working Americans to hold on to more of their own money and not spend it at the gas pump. This week, a number of our oil companies will be reporting their profits. I want you to know that they're doing just fine. And the goal here is to create an opportunity where people can keep more of their money and not spend it at the gas pump. And the Central Corridor and projects like it all across the country are going to help make that possible through President Obama's leadership. Finally, I just want to talk a little bit about all the people who have really brought this together. You've met all the stakeholders here, but I'd like to talk a little bit about my team. I'd like Sorrel, Cecilia, and Brian to stand up for a second. These are my rock stars in the FTA who really made this project happen. When Brian Jackson started working on this project, he weighed 280 pounds. And as you can see now, he weighs less than a fifth of that. And I just want to thank them. It's easy for me to get up here and stand and enjoy the celebration and sign a check. These are the people and folks like them in their offices that put all the work in to make this possible. Thanks. I also want to mention one other member of my staff who has worked hard on this, like so many other projects, and really makes me proud of what we're accomplishing today. My executive director, a guy named Matt Welbus, is a native of this area. He is, as he explained to me early on, he's part of a mixed marriage. And I thought I knew what that was because I'm Jewish and my wife is Southern Baptist. But what he explained is that one of his, he and his spouse, one of them is from Minneapolis and the other is from St. Paul. I feel it especially appropriate that we are building a rail bridge to bring those communities together today. It's an important cultural statement, and it's an important statement about growth for the region. And like I said, the Obama administration is thrilled to be your partner in all of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Administrator Rogoff, and I'm so glad that he mentioned those two guys with that bachelor pad they have out in Washington, D.C. I didn't know about that. I have such a high regard for Peter McLaughlin and Jim McDonough. If there's any people up here who have logged more time strategizing, thinking about how to get this investment made, and taking the political courage of leading the county's Transit Improvement Board to provide the local share of this project so that this project could get this full funding grant agreement today. And it's not just Hennepin and Ramsey counties that are part of that. There are the other counties here, and I don't know if people are here from Dakota, Washington, and Anoka. I'm sure you're probably going to recognize them, but I want to thank the leadership of those counties in this metropolitan area. We would not be here for this full funding grant agreement without their leadership. Come on up.
What a day. First I have to say, Commissioner Ortega, Commissioner Rettman, Commissioner Carter, these are the local elected officials that live in this corridor. These are the local elected officials that every day have lived this. At the grocery market, on the street walking their dogs, on the ball fields, the soccer fields, the basketball courts, sitting on their porch. They have had people coming and talking to them about this project each and every day. They represent every individual, every family, every business owner that lives, works, and does business on this corridor, and they've done it extremely well. Times when they've had to say no to their friends, and times when they've had to reach out in partnership and make compromises, and I thank each and every one of you for your leadership. Commissioner Bennett, Commissioner Reinhardt, Commissioner Parker, they represent the suburban community in Ramsey County, and they've been steadfast in their support for this corridor, and they see the vision, they understand the impact. It's all relative. We're extremely grateful for $480 million. Ramsey County is putting in $66 million. It's relative. Our total budget, $600 million. Our property tax levy budget every year is $220 million. And these commissioners have had the courage to take the votes to make that investment in our future for this community. And I thank you for that. I thank you for your confidence, allowing me the opportunity to help shepherd this project to this day. Central Corridor is a line that's back to the future.
Ways. Back
As an early leader, to be here for a full funding grant agreement as chair of the Met Council. You know, back to the future.
bulletin board picture in the Pioneer Press last week. The excavating going on, and there's the streetcar track.
University, and then right.
Yeah, we just use these and start operating today.
The future can mean a lot of different things for a lot of us, and for the African American community, Back to the Future needs to be back to the future of Rondo, a community that's vibrant, a community that connects people, not a future of Back to the Future, the fear of what happened when 94 came in. And we're committed to ensuring that the Back to the Future for all of us is a Back to the Future that we will all enjoy, that we all benefit from. I look out here today and there isn't a single one of you that haven't had a role at some point in this, including all you media folks. You guys have been great throughout this. I had a lot of media calls on Friday and about this event, and they're saying, well, what about this issue, or what about this issue? And I said, call me on Wednesday. Call me on Wednesday. Throughout this project, it's been points and times. Peter Bell, Peter McLaughlin, everybody's heard me. Points and times. Let's get past this mountain. Let's get across these rolling seas. Let's cross this desert. We get about a minute to send a little email and say, good work, and we're back on to the next crisis. This time, we need to stop and celebrate. We need to enjoy that moment, and each and every one of you are a part of that. And I see the smiling faces out there, and that is great, and that's a great visual. But I come from a really large family, and when we celebrate, we get loud. We get extremely loud, and I need an audio. I need an audio celebration. So on the count of three, help me celebrate today and just make a nice loud holler. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
Well, thank you, Jim. Mr. Rolla, thank you for your very kind comments. And you're waiting for Senator Franken to leave when you used the mixed marriage metaphor. We'll have to see how he'll evaluate that when he comes back. And sometimes people have called Jim and me Abbott and Costello. I actually prefer Butch and Sundance, but we have been great partners here in this, and it's been a pleasure to work with you, and we got a heck of a lot done. So thank you very, very much. We're celebrating a very complicated project here today, no doubt about that, but we're actually celebrating something pretty simple, pretty fundamental, and that is a community coming together to invest in its future. Just that simple. And it's a future where we stay competitive in the world markets, where we're connecting people to jobs and education, a future where we're building stronger communities. That's the basics. And there are a lot of thanks to go around. And I join in those thanks to our congressional delegation, the Met Council past and present. And there are a number of past Met Council members and present Met Council members here, as well as Peter Bell and Sue. The crack staff at the Met Council need to be thanked. They've done a heck of a job. Some of them thought I have an apartment in St. Paul, too, I think. So. Our partners at the FTA have been terrific. There's no question about that, and we'll continue to work with them. The business community has been strong, but in my role as county commissioner and chair of the county's Transit Improvement Board, I just want to give some recognition to three groups. First would be the community advocates and labor. They have been with us throughout this. They fought hard, and they continue for a good transit system. They continue to fight for it today to make sure we have a good system in the future. Second would be the local residents and the businesses along that line. And there's a lot of tumult, there's a lot of disruption when you do a project, but they have embraced this vision for a new University Avenue connecting our two great cities. And finally, my colleagues on the 5 county boards who approved the quarter-cent sales tax. There's no central corridor, as Sue said, without the sales tax revenue. Clear majorities on our 5 county boards embraced a regional vision of investment and growth. They overcame the lure, the temptation of parochialism. And what they did is they embraced, with the Metropolitan Council, a regional vision for how we ought to move forward as a region and as a community. I want to recognize the members of the county's Transit Improvement Board who are here. I don't see anybody from Anoka. I know they had a board meeting this morning. Is there anybody from the Anoka board here? No?
We've got Nancy Schuweiler from the Dakota County Board. Thank you, Nancy. Gail Dorfman, my colleague from the Hennepin County Board. And then Dennis Hagberg from the Washington County Board. You know, the future can happen to us, or we can make the future that we hope and dream for. This project is about making the future that we want for this region and the people in this region. President Obama said we need to out-innovate, out-educate, and outbuild the rest of the world. The Central Corridor and the strong transit system that it's part of are what those words look like in real time, in a real place, the Twin Cities. It's how we'll win the future here. Now, this is a project and a vision that's worth celebrating and building. And building. Think of a modern transit system that connects all the major employment centers in the corners of the region, the two big regional hubs at the depot in St. Paul, the interchange in Minneapolis, all up and operating. We can do it. We've proven we can do it. And we should celebrate Central today and get on with building that full system tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioners, and thank you for your leadership for this project and for the investment in transit and transportation in this region. I'm very proud to work for a governor who is so committed to the investment in transit that even in these difficult times in our state budget, he has held the transit budget harmless and has proposed no cuts to transit because he understands in this time of rising gas prices and greater demand for transit that this is no time to cut the transit system. Last week he spent an hour and a half sitting and listening to transit users talk about why transit is important to them. Business leaders were there, students were there, seniors were there, people going to work, commuters from Woodbury and Burnsville, as well as St. Paul and Minneapolis. This regional transit system is so critical to our economic success. And there's been no person at the state legislature who's been a bigger advocate for transit and transportation funding than Representative Alice Hausman. Alice, thank you so much. I'm going to begin today, though, with the little thing we're grieving about, and that is graffiti on the avenue at the construction sites and along the way. But in a sense, it's sort of symbolic to talk about graffiti because what we're talking about are some of the challenges, some of the things that didn't go so well. They aren't ultimately the things that are going to define us. And Commissioner Rettman and I are going to go right on fighting for that Grand Avenue because the negatives certainly don't define us. It's a grand avenue connecting two cities, and I'd like to point out my colleagues in the Senate, Senator Dibble, who's leading the charge in that body. And I can tell you that just as graffiti on the avenue, our work at the state legislature has certainly not been without its both ups and downs. And I was fortunate to have two partners in that, Judge Shetman over here to the side and Peter Bell in the back, who lived through they lived through some of those lower moments. Sometimes things got signed, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes we had a fight, we had to wait to fight another battle and wait for another day. And when that bill finally was signed, Governor Pawlenty turned and handed the pen to me. That was the year that we had to work a little harder to get that deal completed, and he thought that that I deserved it. Now, I'm a sort of a fiscal conservative. I spend my money very wisely. So I just took a piece of Scotch tape and taped that pen to the wall. I didn't do anything more elaborate than that because, of course, it's all about wise investments and the bigger projects that we're celebrating today.
We had critics to overcome, but I've often said the reason we're here today is those critics have either been defeated or converted. Now this year they're making a little bit of an appearance again, and so I have to emphasize that we are just getting started. If you've ever come into my office, you know I have many maps. Those maps give us a vision for the future of an entire system. And I'm really happy that the business community is front and center today because everyone else has been thanking them. And what I'm going to say to them is the hard work is still ahead. We have a system to build. This is a line that has to be connected to a system. And sometimes that system will even go a little bit outside of the metro area, hopefully someday to Chicago. Great transportation systems. And I trust the business leaders who are here today will take that word to the gentleman who's just been hired to market our region because, in fact, we have questions that need to be answered now. What infrastructure has to be in place in order for our economy to thrive? We have one little celebration today, but the maps show you we have a system to build. And I do believe that the heavy lifting, unfortunately this year, might have to be yours. We have capital dollars that we still need. We have the Southwest Corridor to get started on. We have some East Metro projects that are just still a dream. We have operating dollars. And we're frequently reminded at the legislature, if we're building these, we have to make certain we know how we're going to operate them. And so those funding questions, I suspect, will require conversation at those higher levels, which with some of those CEOs that you're here in place of today. And we're obviously going to be partners in that, but we do think that that idea of understanding that infrastructure is an essential part of a healthy economy is a sales job you're going to have to do. The rest of the community that is here, you have the hard work still to go. I see the construction manager and the operations managers we're still going to hear from. There is work to do. Today, we're pausing and celebrating. Thank you so much, Representative Hausman, for leading the charge on state bonding for the Central Corridor Light Rail project. We wouldn't be here today without your leadership, so thank you very much. I want to call up our city council member in St. Paul, Melvin Carter. There are many city council members in both Minneapolis and St. Paul who have been involved with advocating for this project, listening to the community. City Council Member Carter was really instrumental in leading the group that helped to get the additional stops on this project to make it really serve this community in the best way possible. And I want to call up Melvin Carter.
Good morning. Is it still morning? Good. Thank you, Chair Haigh, and to all who've spoken today for your words, and more importantly for your leadership and the leadership of so many people in this room to make this day truly be a reality. Luckily, I get to go close to the end, and most of what needs to be said today has already been said, so I can be brief if you understand that I just agree with all the stuff that everybody has already said. My name is Melvin Carter, and as the representative of Ward 1 in St. Paul, I represent one side or the other of University Avenue, from Snelling to 35E. For the community that I represent, today is an incredible occasion, and we have a lot of emotions about this. It's a time for celebration, and it's also a time for reflection. Not far away from here, my grandfather once worked a thankless and often nameless job as a Pullman porter at the Union Depot. He worked hard, scraped together his money, and eventually had enough money to purchase a couple of investment properties, over half a dozen investment properties on Rondo Avenue. Unfortunately, progress took those properties from him when Rondo was uprooted to build the freeway. Thinking about my grandfather today helps me remember the gravity of this moment and the understanding that our mayor said and so many other people have said that our work is not done yet. Today marks a completion of an important leg of our journey, but we're nowhere near the finish line. You know, if you know anything about this project, if you know anything about Central Corridor, you know that this process has not been without controversy. We've argued over what street to put it on. We've argued over whether it should go above or below ground, how many stops there should be, and where those stops should go. We've argued about everything else from colored concrete to crosswalks. We've argued in Minnesota, we've argued in D.C., and I think we've argued just about everywhere else that Administrator Rogoff has stopped along the way. And we're still not done arguing. There's still things for us to argue over. And those arguments, some of them have been painful, but really important. You know, and I think we can all be this proud of this line because those conversations made this project even better. You know, there's a lot of people who've had important roles in the process, and many who've already been acknowledged today. But I definitely want to call out first my colleague on the St. Paul City Council, Russ Stark. Russ and I have spent so much time together on Central Corridor that my 3-year-old actually refers to him as my brother. I also see one of my colleagues from Minneapolis City Council, across the Great Water, Cam Gordon. You know, I'd also point out my own legislative aide, Akua Lee, and all the other kind of fantastic city staff members from both cities who have worked so hard on this project. I'd call out neighborhood organizations like the Preserve and Benefit Historic Rondo, the District Councils Collaborative and Isaiah, the business organizations like the Chambers, like the University Avenue Business Association, like the Asian Economic Development Association, and all these people who have worked so hard over so many years, constantly challenging this project to do better by the communities that it has to serve. I appreciate their hard work because in order for this progress that we celebrate today to serve my children better than we served my grandfather, this train is going to have to carry a really heavy burden of hopes and dreams for good jobs, for good housing, for good business opportunities. And it's going to have to carry that burden up a really tall mountain of fear and cynicism and pain. I'm almost done, but I think, as I think about that burden and that lift that we have in front of us, about another train that my mother used to tell me about when I was a kid, that carried a really heavy load up a really steep cliff, just based on the willingness to say, the courage to say, I think I can, and the willingness to back up those words with some really hard work. You know, even beyond today's signing, I think this project will continue to face important questions. To me, the most important question is whether we can stay optimistic and hardworking enough to build a train that not only looks good, but is good for carrying forward the people in our community who need a lift the most. I think we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Carter, for your leadership and the leadership that will be required yet in the years to come on this corridor. Well, before I introduce our General Manager, Metro Transit, Brian Lamb, the people who are actually going to drive this train when this corridor gets built, I have to give a huge shout out to some of the great public servants at the Metro Council and Metro Transit who drive the buses every day in really bad weather and in really tough conditions. I think it's remarkable that our Metro Transit system is now ranked number 5 in the country, and I'm pretty sure that if we looked at the list, the other 4 don't have snow that's 48 to 60 inches for 3 months of the year. So I'm really proud of the work that we do at Metro Transit to move people efficiently and provide good customer service, and it can't happen without an awful lot of people doing that great work. My hats are really off, though, to Mark Furman and Rich Rovang, 2 phenomenal leaders. You know, you can
cannot imagine how much time these two guys log on this project, but I can get emails from them early in the morning, late at night, on the weekends, anytime. They are out there trying to make this a top-notch project, and they are just terrific, terrific professionals, and it's I'm proud to be able to work with them. And Brian Lamb, the manager of General Transit, same thing. Phenomenal leader. Come on up, Brian.
Well, thank you, Chair Haigh. And Administrator Rogoff, I want to add a couple more rock stars to your list, and one of them is Regional Administrator Marisol Simone. Marisol has been with us through thick and thin, and every time we really needed something to happen, something to break through at FTA, I could pick up the phone and count on Marisol being on the other end, trying to figure out a way to make it happen, whether it's actual process or whether it's kind of a political conundrum that we were trying to figure out together. She was always there, and she really has done FTA proud, but also is really a silent star for this project overall. I want to talk a little bit about the silent stars. Chair Haigh just mentioned Mark and Rich, and they are very deserving here. And their project would not be where it is without the great team that has been assembled at the Central Corridor Project Office. Talk about kind of a living, breathing collaboration of people from all sorts of organizations coming together for a common purpose, working through those problems, being there, never giving up. I think Chair Bell, former Chair Bell, used to say a project like this suffers nearly 1,000 near deaths. And we have lived through, I think, 1,001, so we're done with Central Corridor. I think the thing moving forward, though, is as you have Metro Transit and the Metropolitan Council, you can count on us. You can count on us in delivering this project on time and on budget. We have established, we believe, a good track record of doing that. We are committed to doing that. And we are committed to doing it in a way that the inconveniences over the next 4 years is in a sensitive way to the neighborhoods, in a sensitive way, in a customer-oriented way for our transit customers. Part of what I want to commit to today is our commitment to our transit customers who commute along the Central Corridor. We will be there. Regardless of the construction, we will be there over the course of the next few years. We are not going to lose you.